السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا. Welcome guys. Marhaban. My name is Zakat Zaman. This is Roots of Knowledge live stream. Sal, you're watching. Oh yes. Sal's watching as well. You know what that means. So yeah. So it's basically, what this basically means is that this is a live stream and I answer your questions, hopefully. Questions that you guys are going to send in or you're going to ask. And inshallah, we're going to be enjoying the night because England has won, or about to win. So normally Saturdays, if you guys are not familiar, I have a live session where I try to answer any of your questions which are related to Islamic topics like, Arabic language, Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, anything basically that I can try to answer. If I don't know the answer to it, then I'll just tell you I don't know the answer. And if I do, then inshallah I'll try to answer it in the best way I can. Wa alaikum assalam, Umar, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome, marhaban. Why is it not permissible? We're red and what are the reasons? Okay, Umar, straight away question. So inshallah we'll come back to your question in a bit. Amina, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Oh, you're almost first. Yusra Munir, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. All the families that are watching it right now, all your families, everyone who's sitting on the sofa and watching, mashallah, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. All my friends in the US, ahlan wa sahlan as well to you guys. And if you haven't been hearing this chant going around, it's coming home, then now you know what it means, it's coming home, Tayyib Ali, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, ahlan wa sahlan. I'm very well, thank you very much. I hope you are enjoying yourself and you're well as well. Euro 2020 Qaza from last year. Wa alaikum assalam, Makki Sadi, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Are you going to continue writing your Nahu book, inshallah? Yes, inshallah. I'm going to continue. Hopefully, I should restart when I get my holidays, inshallah. Once I get my holidays, then it's back to Nahu, inshallah. And I'm going to start because I've got to kind of just recheck some things again. And I'll start from the beginning. Ideally, I'm thinking what would be ideal is if I went through it with someone, I was taught it to someone, and then every time I come across something which I think requires some sort of adjustment or change or anything like that, then I can do that. That's kind of an easier way of, for me anyway, for revising it. So when I'm teaching it, I've got to think extra. I've got to think more, and then I kind of think to myself, was this the right way of doing it? Should I have done this or should I have done that? Abu Bakr, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Do you recommend Arabic tutor book for self-study? You can try it. Yeah, you can try it for self-study, inshallah. But you can watch on YouTube. There's some people who have actually gone through it. So if you check that out, inshallah, that should be something which should be useful, hopefully, inshallah. England got lucky. All the best teams got knocked out. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's true, guys. I think that's the reason why they've been so successful in today's match. Nice blue shirt. Blue is nice. Yeah, nice. Today was a hot day, so blue is a very nice color. I actually made another vlog for you guys. And inshallah, I'm going to be probably putting it up tomorrow, inshallah. And I was doing some gardening today, so I just thought I'd show you guys how I do gardening. Yeah, and maybe you guys can give me some tips on how best I should do the gardening and what kind of mistakes I'm making. You guys can do my islah, inshallah. I want to invite you on my channel, mashallah. You can email, inshallah. If you email, the email is below. Yeah, this email that's over here, you can see over there, learning Deen. Does hangnail, dead skin, overlapping dead skin act as a barrier for wudu? No. Short answer, no. Yeah, it doesn't. Sounds good. Look forward to it when your book comes out, inshallah. Look forward. You might have to look a bit forward, yeah. You might get some white hairs before that. Jundullah, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Lots of rain and lightning now. Yeah, not in our area. In our area, it's okay. It's raining a bit, but it was heavy rain early on. I like that kind of rain, heavy, thick, drops of rain. heavy drops of rain. In Arabic, you call it wabil rain, like it's like thick drops. Those are nice summer drops. Abdul, so where are you, Zed? Are you in London? Looks like you're in London. Abdul Qadir, ahlan wa sahlan, wa alaikum assalam. I'm doing very well, thank you very much. I hope you are very well where you are in the world. Habib Hussein, what is the biggest difference between Quran style and poetry? Okay, should we start the questions then? Right, let's start the questions. I think you guys are tired of watching the football or hearing about the football. Yeah? Are you guys tired of it? Well, let's start the questions then, inshallah ta'ala. Because, I've got to answer your questions as well. So, so tomorrow, inshallah, I'll be showing you guys my vlog. Yeah. Because I got this GoPro. So now it's kind of much easier to make videos with this, right? Rather than carrying my camera around. And it's a bit of a headache. Okay, so... Right, let's start off with... Okay, Omar's question. Let's go back to Omar's question. Omar had a question. Why is it not permissible to wear red? Because it comes... So this wearing red, it comes in a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said that he told some Sahaba, there's various hadith I mentioned Abu Dawud. He told some Sahaba not to wear red, basically. Yeah, he prohibited them from wearing red. He saw them wearing red, and he told them not to wear it. So scholars have taken from this that wearing red is not permissible. But there are some scholars who say no, it is permissible because the Prophet ﷺ is reported himself to have worn a red jubbah. Some scholars say it wasn't fully red, and some scholars say no, it was. So this is why the opinions regarding wearing red in the Hanafi madhab, some say it's makruh tahrimi, meaning it would be sinful if a man wore like a red shirt. Yeah. And others, like Imam Shurumbulali and others, they say no, it's not sinful. It's considered to be okay to wear. Right. So there's like two opinions over there on that issue. What I would say is, in this kind of society, wearing of the red would be fine. That red color was in their society because it was a color that would resemble something that was for women. Right. Okay. Next, let's go down. Let's check out some of the questions. Okay. We answered tuna's one. Tuna. Remember tuna salad. Very nice. Not to say whether tuna is a wrong name. If it's your name, it's a good name. But I'm just saying it sounds like tuna, like tuna salad, fish tuna. What's the biggest difference between the Quran and style and poetry? There are many differences. So, like for example, number one, the sound. So, if you are familiar with Arabic poetry, you will know that Quran does not even sound like Arabic poetry, right? That's number one. Number two is the style of the meters. So, in poetry, you have to use certain rhythms. In the Quran, you don't have those. That's another difference. Another difference is that in poetry, every time you end in poetry, it has to end in the same syllable, the same note, right, all the way down. But in the Quran, it doesn't do that. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Fourth difference is that the poetry is based upon exaggeration, right? And in reality, poems are not really something which is explaining the reality of things. There's a lot of exaggeration going on. Quran is no exaggeration. It's just exactly precise words. So these are some of the differences, and there are some other differences as well. Right. Let's check out some other questions. Up north, mashallah. West Yorkshire, yeah? That's the way, bro. That's the way. I need to come down here, West Yorkshire. Do you feel, okay, this is Abu Bakr asking a question here. Do you feel that there's many subjects which can be simplified for students after studying them, but they are taught like it's difficult? Of course. So basically what I would say is this, pedagogy, a lot of like madrasas, they don't invest in pedagogy. They don't invest in teaching teachers how to teach certain subjects. Like, how is Nahu taught? How should Nahu be taught? This is something which we find in the West, they do a lot, right? So they invest a lot of money in trying to figure out how to teach different sciences. And this is something I think madrasas need to invest in. They need to invest. How should Bukhari be taught? How should Tirmidhi be taught? How should Fiqh be taught? How should Hadith be taught? How should Aqidah be taught? There's so many different things. That's what I think you're pointing at a good issue there, which is the issue is not subjects are not difficult really in themselves. It's really the pedagogy, how these subjects are taught. Wa alaikum assalam, boxing, MMA, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Emullah, yes bro, yes, my Blackburn bro. Yeah. The only actually I know a few people in Blackburn, but the only one that I know like very well on my WhatsApp list. West Yorkshire. When I have my own house, inshallah, I'm going to have garden. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, may Allah make it a beautiful garden for you, inshallah. Very nice having a nice garden. You can do some nice reading, you can pray in there, you can so kind of like relaxing as well. If you got good neighbors as well. If you got noisy neighbors and you got barking dogs, then may Allah save you from that. It's coming home. Yes, it's coming home. Excited to all this coming home. Ruby Hussein, wa alaikum assalam. Ahla wa sahla. Welcome, Ruby Hussein. MP, ahla wa sahla, wa alaikum assalam. What's your madhab in Aqidah and Fiqh? In Aqidah, I follow the madhab of the Sahaba. Whatever the Sahaba believe, that is my madhab. And I've studied Aqidah Maturidi as well. And Fiqh, in Fiqh, Hanafi. You good? Alhamdulillah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. England won. Yeah, put that up there. England won. Woohoo. Have you premium courses? What courses? Have you premium courses? I don't understand your question. Do I have courses? Yeah, check out my website, uruk.com. Uruk.com. Check that out. Got some courses there. Do we have to bury animals? No, you don't have to bury animals. No, you don't have to. Are prenuptial financial agreements allowed, i.e., son or daughter receiving wealth from parents want to protect child in case marriage doesn't work out? The only prenuptial agreement that can be made is the mahar. Everything else, there's no other Islamically. But if the two people want to agree on it, that's totally fine. So the two people want to agree upon some sort of a financial agreement, that's fine. But legally, Islamically, they don't have to. He won't be obliged to. The Prophet ﷺ was referred to as being the most eloquent Arab of his time. Is this shown through the Hadith? The thing with the Hadith is most Hadith are not the exact words of the Prophet ﷺ. They are basically the words of narrators, like in their own words, they've explained it. Right, so very few Hadith we have which are the exact words of the Prophet ﷺ. But yes, if we had the Prophet ﷺ's exact words, then definitely, like in some narrations, like some du'as and short hadith, like very, very short, brief Jawamil Kalim ones, then yes, definitely very, very deep, powerful words. Wa alaikum assalam, lillah, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Do you agree with the quote, how bigger the sin you give up for Allah, how bigger your iman will be? Sounds good, yeah? Sounds good. Does God have a gender? No. God does not. We believe Allah does not have a gender. Most time, but yes, the Quran does mention he for him because there is in Arabic there is no other. You either have a he or you have a she, right? There's no it in Arabic, right? In English you have the word it, but in Arabic you don't have that. And the Quran has mentioned he, so we just stick to he being mentioned. Most of the time, even full time. Darsi courses don't cover books cover to cover, only a few babs. Yeah, that's another issue. I think the biggest problem with that is because in the UK, a lot of people are not really dedicated to giving up 8 years of their time. Yeah, so 8 years is a long time for a lot of people. Abu Bakr, your 7 lessons is a good example of how courses like Nahu can be understood by anyone of any age. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. Yes, definitely. I would say, at the moment, I've got the youngest person is probably like a 12-year-old doing the course, 12, 13. And eldest maybe in their 60s. So this is a course for all sorts of people. It's designed, and it can be improved as well. Maybe after 10 years, I'll probably look back at it and find ways of improving it, definitely. I'm thinking of adding some, in the course, I'm thinking of adding some extra videos in there to implement the Arabic into things that we read in Salat. So basically, by the end of it, you should be able to understand what you're reading in the salat, then inshallah. Yeah, so that's one of the things that inshallah I'm going to be looking into. What are you drinking today? I am drinking this Turkish tea. It's orange Turkish tea. Orange. Yeah. Tastes very nice. You guys can see it there. It feels so nice when it goes down your throat. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. What types of pets are we are allowed to keep? So keeping pets, basically you're allowed to keep any sort of pet that has some sort of a benefit. Yeah, any sort of pet that has some sort of benefit that is not going to basically just harm you, then you can keep those. If it has some sort of a benefit, basically. Yeah, so like keeping birds, keeping a dog if it has a benefit, like maybe protection or something of that sort, and stuff like that. Snakes, I would say they don't really have any benefit unless a person keeps a snake in order for them to maybe eat the mice and stuff. And otherwise, those shouldn't be kept. No worries, Sheikh. However, the tuna is a pretty well-known and used name in Anatolia, but yes, Britain. Yeah, definitely. What's your view on taking a mortgage Al Rayyan? I don't know about Al Rayyan's banking details, but I know people who are involved with Al Rayyan Bank, and they say to me it's fine. Sometimes better covering a few bombs slowly rather than rushing through the whole kitab, which will go over. Yeah, definitely. That's an excellent point there. 100% agree with that one. 100%. Shah Habib, what is the best option for someone to become an alim without doing 8-year course? No pain, no gain. That's basically the shortcut. No pain, no gain. If you want to kind of get a shortcut, you're basically going to get what you're paying for, basically. So if you want to do a 3-year course, you're basically going to get a 3-year course. You can't get an 8-year course crammed into 3 years. On the other hand, I have seen people who are very, very intelligent and very good memories, and they have actually learnt like the whole, 9 or 10-year course. They've done it in like 4 or 5 years. I know one of my wasn't my teacher, but it was one of my teacher's friends. Yeah, Maulana Nazir, his name was, and he was very, very very sharp, very intelligent guy. He was from a place. He was from up north in Pakistan, very high up north. He was from a place. I think it's from Baltistan or one of these kind of places. Yeah, I can't exactly remember. He wasn't from. Oh, he might be from Kohistan. Yeah, might be from Kohistan. Very mountainous areas. Okay, let's check out some curious. Let's check this out. Tayyib Ali, is it wajib for men to read salah in the masjid with jama'ah when is someone excused? So according to Hanafis, there's 2 opinions about this. Some say that it's sunnah mu'akkada and some say that it's wajib. So there's 2 views. Now, what I would say is this, is that a person should go to the masjid unless they have a valid excuse like health issues, or for example, like work, they can't basically make it. Taking care of someone who's ill, who's taking care of children, they can't take the children with them, stuff like that. So Fuqaha have even mentioned that even if someone is in a situation where it's like heavy rain and it's going to make their clothes all wet if they go to the masjid, or they're living too far, these are all excuses mentioned. But if you want to get close to Allah, what's the answer? You try your best. Yeah, that's the main thing. Wa alaikum assalam, S Khan, ahla wa sahlan. Did you like the strawberries? Enjoy the strawberry video, yeah? Yeah, so strawberries are very, very nice one day. Okay, let's check out the Curious Cat, guys. Check out some Curious Cat questions, because, you can't have a nice Saturday without having random anonymous people just asking questions on Curious Cat. So here goes Curious Cat. Let's check out some of the questions. All right. Assalamu alaikum. If someone hasn't paid zakat for last 10 years and has savings of 20,000, now he does not know his every year savings or expenses, but knows earning, how he should count his zakat now for every previous year. Okay, so what this person should do is estimate roughly how much he think he had when he first reached the threshold of zakat, right? Try to roughly estimate. You can probably check your bank, ask your bank manager for your past history, account history, and they'll send you, the bank details. You might have to pay a bit of money. Sometimes, like, you have to pay like £5 or something to request that kind of information. So once you get your statements, you check in there, and then each year you can roughly estimate and give slightly extra. Yeah. So if you got £20,000 now, maybe 10 years ago, maybe you might have had £500. I'm just saying, and then you kind of work it out like that. Yeah, and just give a little extra just to kind of top it off. Okay, what if someone misses Fajr accidentally and forgets to make it up at Dhuhr? Is the Dhuhr valid? Yes, the Dhuhr is valid. And the Fajr they make up after. Yeah, so the Hanafis say, basically, if you're someone who has been praying their salats in sequence for all of their life, right? If they miss their Fajr, when they pray their Dhuhr, they should pray their Fajr first, then the Dhuhr. If they were to pray the Dhuhr first, then the Fajr, they should repeat the Dhuhr again. So to keep the sequence. Yeah. Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. That's what they say. But if you have prayed it, then it's still acceptable. Still fine. In Hanafi, where does the 3 days for menstruation and 15 days for period? So 3 to 10 days menstruation comes from a narration, even though the narration the Hanafis say themselves is a weak narration, but it's the best narration that we have out there. There is no other narration which is as strong as this narration, even though it's weak. And 15 days is from companions, from reports from the companion size. So, in other words, if the companions have reported something, therefore, we believe that if it's something to do with acts of worship, then they wouldn't have made it up themselves. They must have got it from the Prophet ﷺ himself. Right, let's check out some more questions here. Okay. Brother, I'm not able to read Quran. Where should I start learning from? So you can start from my YouTube channel. On there, I've got a section called Learn How to Read the Quran. And in there, you can follow that. Right. If otherwise, there is one of my friends has a website called Quranic Insights. Quranic Insights. Someone can type it in the bottom maybe for the brother. And there, they actually help people who don't know how to read Quran at all. They actually give them lessons. Yeah, alhamdulillah. I hope you're well, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, Iskhan. Very well, thank you very much. Shakira Ali, ahla wa sahlan, marhaban. Is it permissible to draw animated characters, including faces, or does it come under imitating creation? So some of the contemporary Hanafis have mentioned, and other scholars have mentioned, that if it's for educational purposes, then there's permissibility for it. Right? So if it's educational books or something like that, in class, you're explaining something, right? Or if it's for something which is not going to be something which really exists in the real world, right? It's something which is like fable, fictitious. And the reason being is because this is not something which would be worshipped. The idea for drawing something is something which that potentially can be worshipped. Yeah, so that's the idea for that. Why do some non-Muslims cry when they swear, when they hear the Quran being recited? I have no idea. Why do some people cry when they watch like a romantic movie? No idea. I think it's to do with emotions. MashaAllah, the vlogs have been very good, very insightful, excellent. So another one's coming up tomorrow. I've just finished editing it. So shall I put it up today or shall I put it up tomorrow? I think tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll put it up. What about a pet chameleon? Not really any benefit, but yeah, so they're not dangerous, are they? Yeah, so something like that would be okay to keep. I was kind of like talking about animals which are kind of like a bit dangerous. Yeah, so the Hanafis say you're allowed to basically sell cats, dogs, leopards, cheetahs, falcons, hawks, all these kind of birds. You're allowed to sell them if there's some sort of a benefit in society, and thus it's permissible to keep them. Right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Arsalan, ahla wa sahlan. The Imam in Jamaat made a sighing, breathing out sound in prayer. Would this invalid prayer? No, it wouldn't. Yeah, so breathing sounds won't invalidate prayer. Unless he said something, like he said, like, oh gosh, or something like that, then that would obviously be something which potentially might nullify the salat. My question is, why do you have a child seat in your car? Nosy. Oh, that's basically for my nephew and niece. So basically my nephew and niece, I haven't showed you my nephew and niece yet, but they are crazy, two crazy kids. They're both 3 years old. And my nephew, he is crazy in the sense that this guy just memorizes things. Yeah, he's not good at kind of like talking to you too much. He just chats a lot, but he just like repeats words. But he's got a good memory. He knows 3 years old. He knows all the months of the year. He knows all the planets in space. He knows all the numbers to 100. He knows all the seasons. He knows all these things like his mum's been teaching him. And this guy that crazy kind of like just memorizes things. And my niece, she is just chatty. And I'm thinking I might show you, but you know what? It's just I don't want to kind of put them on the camera or anything because they're kids and all that, vulnerable. But yeah, they're very chatty. My nephew is called Nuh, and my niece is called Umayya. Yeah, so they're very chatty. And I got another nephew as well. His name is Suleiman. So they're going to be coming, might be coming to my house tomorrow. So whenever I go down to visit them, they always say to me, "Oh, take us. Do you want to come to my house?" And they want to run around the garden and do stuff like jump up and down. And so I have to put them, and you can't drive legally without those seats in it. So basically, that's that. Okay, all right. Let's check out some. Okay, let's just do these ones. If a movie does not have bad content, does the background music make it haram still? I would say no. Yeah, because that music isn't there. It's like in the shop or something. It's not there for the main primary purpose. Yeah, it's to try and cause an effect, right? It's trying to create an effect. So it's not there to kind of entertain you in itself, I would say. But obviously, if the music is something which has filthy words in there, this is something that a person should avoid. My teacher in Pakistan finished his Alimiya course in 3.5 years. He was mashallah exceptional, bright, with an amazing memory. Possible. Yeah, possible. Especially if someone's like learnt Arabic from before. I would say if you know Arabic very well, you can do the whole Alim course in literally 4 years, I would say. Definitely, without doubt. Is Tadween al-Hadith translated into English? I don't think it has been yet. No, it hasn't. It's a very, very good book, I would say. I mean, it's one of the early books that really like shaped my understanding of research and really kind of looking into things. And the author, Munazir Ahsan, he's also got a few other books as well, Tadween al-Hadith and Tadween al-Quran and Tadween al-Fiqh. They're in Urdu, but they're very, very insightful books. Should zakat be given to the Islamic State? No, they don't. It's not. So basically, what happens is the Islamic State is not a recipient of zakat, but the Islamic State will send out zakat collectors to collect zakat of crops and cattle. Right? They'll collect it and then they'll distribute it on your behalf. Wa alaikum assalam, Muhammad Azim. What books do you teach at so far? Well, the year's finished now. Okay, so I teach Fiqh al-Muyassar Part 2, which is Mu'amalat. I teach Quduri. I teach Usul Fiqh. I teach which is Usul Shashi and my own notes. I teach Usul Hadith, and then including all the other little Usul Hadith books. I teach Hidayah, Mu'amalat. I teach Abu Dawood. I teach Tuhfat al-Tullab, it's a poem, fiqh poem. I teach, yeah, Quduri is again. I teach Hidayah from the beginning part, the Ibadat. I teach, the Balagha, which is my own notes of Balagha. I teach the course I've got basically on myuruq.com. I teach that. And I teach Tirmidhi, and I teach, what else do I teach? I teach iftar books. Yeah, so Qudras al-Mufti and other things. AB61, Assalamu alaikum. Advice regarding how to be consistent. I'm struggling on keeping slipping. I either take too much on in one. Yeah, I think this is a very, very good question. And I think a lot of people, even myself, I suffer from this kind of problem, which is trying to balance how much to do and keep it going at a good pace. So I think the thing that you have to remember, I think, first of all, is remove all the distractions from your life, right? Social media, people you don't need to be in contact with. I know it's being a bit blunt, but you just gotta, you gotta put your priorities first in studying. Social media, remove social media or as much as you can from your life. Remove distractions like movies and things like that, friends, which are not needed, basically. What else? and try to keep contact with a teacher that is a very good teacher in ilm, and try to always see how you can benefit from that teacher. I would say those three pieces of advice might be possibly the key advice that I benefit from when I was studying. Also, I was reading that a lot of Sahaba considered it worse to commit a sin in Mecca than outside. Does that refer to just Haram or the whole of Mecca? Yeah, the Haram. Yeah, so the area of the Haram is about, I think it's about 3 meters radius, 3 miles radius. Yeah, and the reason being is because this is a sanctified area, and if you're in a sanctified area, you're expected to be more aware. Yeah, that's what they can consider. How can we ask forgiveness from old friends and people who no longer have contact with us? Yeah, it's a difficult one. Don't know, maybe just reach out to them, maybe just like do random sort of like do like this one random circulating message going around saying to everyone, please forgive me if I've done anything to you. Like some people, when they're going for Umrah or Hajj, they send around this kind of message, because otherwise I don't know how you're going to get in contact with them. I own a business with a non-Muslim employees. Is it wrong to say Merry Christmas to them? I would say no. Yeah, I would say it wouldn't be considered wrong unless you're, because normally when people say Merry Christmas, they're not saying Merry Christmas because they honor Christmas itself. They're just saying it like they would say good morning, good evening, just to kind of like keep people sort of clients. It's just that kind of a little thing that you say. But if you don't have to say it, avoid it. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I know scholars would say saying Merry Christmas you shouldn't say at all. But if you're in a situation where you have interaction with people, then you can say to them, "I hope you have a wonderful celebration. I hope you have a wonderful time at your celebration." Otherwise, if you disagree with me on that point, that's fine. Yeah, I understand. But try not to put yourself in a situation where you have to actively go around telling people, "Oh, Merry Christmas, roly poly," and this and that. Alison, Isabel, ahlan wa sahlan. Hi there. I'm really enjoying your Balagha series based on Surah Naba. Love from New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand. One day, inshallah, I'm coming to New Zealand. Inshallah. Yeah, New Zealand's a very, very nice place. I mean, we've kind of learned about New Zealand from I keep forgetting that series, man, the hospital series. What is it called? That New Zealand one. Yeah, I remember that. That was my first kind of exposure to New Zealand, watching that. And also, what's that famous? Is it Lord of the Rings, made in New Zealand? What's made in New Zealand? Lord of the Rings. That nice scenery and all that. Yeah, Jazakallah khair for that, inshallah. Maybe in the future I might do another surah. Yeah, might be another surah. Idris Shah, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. What are some of your fun memories of the late Sheikh Abdul Razak Iskandar? Okay, so let me tell you some fun memories of Sheikh Abdul Razak. Sheikh Abdul Razak, he was one of the first teachers that I actually met in the madrasa, because you had to go to him when you got basically what they call dakhila, your admission. You went to him, he brought you this nice tea, and that tea that I had there, it was just so fantastic. It's like this cup is like half the size of this cup, very small cup. It comes in a small little teapot, right? This old kind of, the paint is like chipped away, very old little teapot. It seems as though the top is going to fall off, and they like kind of bring it on a tray and you pour it, and they gave this like kind of like biscuit with it as well. It's kind of like it's a bit kind of like a rusk kind of biscuit, and that tea was doodh patti, but it was like first time I tasted tea that was so rich and so nice, so well balanced. And then he asked me, like, where are you from? What are you doing here? And then I told him. But then I actually joined the madrasa a bit too early. And the problem with that was the classes were to start 2 months later. So he said to me, currently, we don't have alim classes, right? But why don't you join Hifz for 2 months, improve your tajweed, learn some surahs by heart, and then by the time the classes start, you'd got used to the madrasa. And I go, okay. So I did that basically. That was the first time that I met him. Then after that, every day I used to see him. So when I was staying in my hostel, every day, because his house where he lived was inside the madrasa itself, and he used to walk, and he used to always have like, because he's walking with a walking stick, he couldn't balance himself, so someone had to hold his hand. And I remember once it was like I was walking and he came out, and I was thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? And my hands were like sweating, and so I just went up to him, I grabbed his hand, and then he was walking, and then he was like speaking to me and asking me like, oh, how's the classes and things like that. And he's a very, very nice, like very jolly, very kind, very sort of like compassionate, will listen to you. That one of those kind of grandfather figures. And he basically was one of the first people to actually join that madrasa when it first ever started. Sheikh Yusuf bin Nuri. He's one of Sheikh Yusuf bin Nuri's closest students, and they say that he actually resembled him as well. I know they have this strange thing that a student who's with the teacher a lot starts to resemble them a lot, like not just in the way they speak, behave, but in their features as well. I've seen it so many times. Yeah, it's like a strange kind of, yeah. So that was one of the kind of fun. And another fun memory was, I remember when because he taught us Sahih Bukhari, part 1. So when we finished the year, he got everyone. He said in Syria, when we used to be in Syria, because he studied in Syria and he taught in Syria as well. He taught in Libya. He studied in Egypt, studied in Syria, taught in Syria, studied in Saudi as well, studied in loads of places. And he said we used to stand in a big circle, all students, and then everyone shook each other's hand in the end of the year. And it was like, at least you met everyone. And it was like, that was the funniest thing, because most people in that class, I didn't even know they were in that class, because we had literally 550 people. Yeah, I remember that, mashallah. Tadween al-Hadith has been translated to Arabic. Yes. Yeah. So it originally is Urdu, but he translated to Arabic. So the Arab world now has exposure. And this is one thing that needs to be done. There's lots of books in the India subcontinent that are in Urdu, but because they're not translated into Arabic, a lot of the ulama in the world don't have exposure to these books. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. Okay, let's check out some. Right, check out Curious Cat. Okay, can a man issue a woman 3 divorces in one sitting? Then they are no longer married. So it's considered to be sinful for a man to give 3 divorces in one go, right? So the ideal way, if you want to give 3 divorces, you give 1 divorce, you wait for 1 menstrual cycle, and after that you give another divorce, and then you wait for another menstrual cycle and you give a 3rd divorce. Basically, 1 month gap in between each divorce. Once 3 divorces have been given, then basically the nikah is over. Yeah, and the period starts from the first divorce. Does taking medication deliberately during fast require kafara? If it's needed, like if a person really needs it, then it's a medical excuse, so they have to make up their fast only and no kafara. But if there's no reason for it, just like you just took some paracetamol, right, then you'd have to make up your fast and do kafara as well. Okay, right. In Hanafi, right, next question. Does, okay, no one. If a thief has a paralyzed hand, okay, his other hand cannot be cut as had punishment, will his foot be cut instead, or will he be given a discretionary punishment? Discretionary punishment. Yeah, he's given discretionary punishment in that case. If I'm correct, actually, I need to, let me just quickly just check this one up. Yeah, just so that I'm not making anything up. Yeah, Allah. Right, let's have a check. Quick check. Yeah, so you don't. So it's given discretionary punishment. Yeah, in that case. Okay. Right. Next. What's your justification for not making hijrah back to a Muslim nation like Pakistan or elsewhere? Are you a full-time da'i? No, I'm not a full-time da'i. So basically, this idea that you have to make hijrah. So the scholars, basically, according to the Hanafi madhab, as long as you can establish your faith in the country that you're in, right, and you're not basically having to compromise your faith in most areas, right, they don't allow you to pray, they don't allow you to fast, etc., then you don't have to make hijrah. Ideally, living in a place which would be more Islamically facilitating is better than living in a place where they are clamping down on you. Yeah. So simple answer to that. I'm not a full-time da'i, basically like in a speaker's corner doing that kind of work. I'm teaching knowledge of deen. So if you want to say that's a da'i as well, then okay, I fulfill that criteria. But not everyone has to do hijrah. You only have to do hijrah if you fear for your faith. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If one had put pants with impurity on in the washing machine and after they were washed by one's parents, one could see the mark of where the impurity was, is this considered a stain that would not need to be removed? Would not need to, that's correct, yes. Would not need to be removed. Would the clothes that were in the washing machine together with this item be classed as pure? Yes. Okay, continuing. The mark stain is 5 centimeters, but there is not solid substance. Would this be pure? Yes, it's pure. Basically, traces are exempt, right, because they are difficult to remove anyway. Okay, right. Let's go back to this. Arsalan, ahlan wa sahlan, Mufti Saab. Which Arabic dictionary would you recommend for one to read and see how one word may be used in many ways? Lisan al-Arab. Lisan al-Arab. Yeah, definitely. Alamgir, Assalamu alaikum. Has Fath al-Bari translated to English? I think some people were doing some work on there, but I think it's a waste of time. I personally am totally against translating these classical works. Yeah, because they're usually filled with so many mistakes, and people who read them just misconstrue lots of things in there anyway. The only people that really sort of like benefit from it are people who are like academics in university. I think they're the only ones that really. Do the students of Asufa read Hadith kitabs from Bushra or Hindi prints? We get both. We get both. So some of the teachers prefer the Hindi prints, some of them prefer Bushra prints. Is Mufti and Fatwa from the same root word? Bingo. Excellent. That's right. I would like advice on memorizing Quran. I am not a Hafiz of Quran, so best to ask someone who's a Hafiz of Quran. I have school and it literally becomes hard to do Hifz. So I wouldn't be able to help you in that question, unfortunately, because I'm not a Hafiz. Best to ask someone who is a Hafiz, yeah, and who has actually done this. So I can give you some advice, but that wouldn't be practical advice because I've never experienced that. So I do apologize. I think having friends motivating one is better. Okay. Best English Hayat al-Sahaba to read. Best English Hayat, I have no idea. I don't read Hayat al-Sahaba English. I've got an Arabic version. I thought you were just going to do your New Zealand accent then. G'day, mate. New Zealand accent? That's where it all ends. Can left-handed person hold spoon in left hand? Yes, they can, but it's according to Hanafis, it's considered to be better to use the right hand. Yeah, better to use the right hand. My kitten suddenly pounces at my feet. All kittens do that during Salah. My question is, would my sudden movements and jerks nullify my Salah or praying in fear sometimes? No, it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, it happens if you have kittens, they just like doing that for some reason. They just love. Ya Allah. Okay, next question. Tayyib Ali. When we say salams at the end of Salah, who are we giving salam to when praying alone? So the Hanafis say basically you're giving it to the people who are there, if they are there, and if they're not there, you're giving it to the angels. S. Dadu, can women travel alone like from Birmingham to London even though it's more than 81 kilometers far? If it's safe, if the journey is a safe journey and there is no sort of like harm or anything on the way, I would say that it would be permissible for that. So scholars have mentioned for a woman to travel more than a 3-day and 3-night journey is not permissible without her being chaperoned by her family member, male family member, or a husband. Reason being is her safety, basically. Now, in today's times, traveling in these kind of distances is usually very safe, right? Traveling by train or by car, it's like traveling just, from one side of your city to another side of your city. So I would say in that kind of a question, it would be permissible to that. Arsalan, do you have recommendations of where one can go abroad to study Egypt? Wherever you're comfortable with. Egypt is a good place to go. Turkey is a good place to go nowadays. These are two like famous places for a lot of people in the West to go to study. A lot of scholars in Turkey from Syria have gone there, and there's a lot of potential there, I would say. And it's quite cheap as well. So Egypt, Turkey, I think Turkey might be a better option. If you want to go to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, going over there as well is fine. I mean, there is not one perfect place to study. It all depends upon what you can sacrifice, your time, your effort, finding the right teacher as well. You could go to Pakistan and not get the right teacher. And I've seen, unfortunately, people who have done the alim course in Pakistan from, abroad, from, other countries, and haven't really benefited and like basically, forgot all this stuff and not really learned their stuff just because they didn't have the right experience there. Okay, do you suggest people to learn reading and writing Urdu so they can benefit from the language and the Islamic books published? Definitely. I mean, learning Urdu would be very good to get access to writings of scholars in the Indian subcontinent. Learning Turkish even is very good because a lot of new Turkish books are being published from Ottoman scholars. Persian would be good as well. Obviously, to become a scholar in Islam, learning Arabic is a must. Yeah, that's the main thing. But the other languages are not really necessary. If you're looking hench today, yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I've been doing a bit of gardening today, so you guys are gonna see in my video that I made, yeah, me doing some gardening, pulling out weeds. Yeah, you can see my muscles. Yeah, tensing. What's the Islamic definition of a Muslim country? Predominantly like Muslim government, where a government, most of their policies and most of the sort of like, I mean, they kind of identify themselves as Muslim as well. That's the main kind of thing. If they identify themselves as Muslim, that's what's considered Muslim. But in the past, it was considered to be where the Islamic penal code was implemented. That was considered to be Dar al-Islam. Mufti Sahab, have you come across Sheikh Akram Nadawi's Foundation to Hadith Science? Yeah, I think it's a small book that he has. I mean, it's not really anything like amazing, but it's good. I mean, there's many other books like that as well. So it's good like for a beginner just to get used to terminology. I personally don't think you need to study like a book like that. I would say maybe studying from a teacher, maybe the rules of Usul Hadith in English in your own words, and then once you've done that, then go on to the other books. Because the only reason you want to study a book is because the author is a classical authority. So if someone, even if, for example, like Muhammad Tariq Jamil or someone wrote a Usul Hadith book, it's got no value because he's not considered to be an authority in the whole series of scholars of Hadith. So likewise, Sheikh Akram Nadawi is not really an authority in Hadith, Usul Hadith, compared to Ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, Imam Suyuti, and these guys. So I would encourage people, when you're studying Usul Hadith, you study Usul Hadith, you get into terms with the terminology, examples, application. So when I teach Usul Hadith to my students in Sufa, for example, what I do is I teach them about 22 lessons of my Usul Hadith, and then I show them how to implement it. By the end of it, they're able to go through a hadith. If I give them a hadith, search the narrators, search what the scholars say about the hadith, and then try to understand how the hadith is graded. That's what I think should be the purpose of studying any beginner, intermediate Usul Hadith book. That should be the most important thing out there. Then after that, once you've grasped this, then moving on to like classical books like Ibn Hajar's book or Ibn Nawawi's or Al-Iraqi's or Khatib Baghdadi or anyone else for that matter, then that's another issue. That's where you want to sort of like dive into the ikhtilafs and things like that. Yeah, but I think a lot of people study Usul Hadith, but it just whizzes over their head because they've just gone through a course without really gaining a skill. You need to gain a skill at the end of it, if that makes sense. Right. Any update on the menstruation app? The guys are still working on it. Yeah, the guys are still working on the app. They haven't got back to me about what the latest is. But inshallah, in the summer holiday, I'll try to catch up with them again, see where it's got to. The problem is because they're doing it for free. I've told them what I'll do is I'll start a fundraiser for it, and once we collect enough funds, then we can pay guys, and they can take it seriously and dedicate time to making it. Because otherwise, if you don't pay people in the real world, you're kind of like not gonna get the results in a good amount of time, right? Because people are doing it voluntarily, and volunteers only have a certain limit of time they have. Yeah, but make dua inshallah. Is salah permissible in a room with photos? Should all photos be removed from our walls? It's permissible, but it would be considered to be disliked if there's no other place to pray. If there's another place to pray, you should pray somewhere else. And if those photos are big photos as well, yeah. If they're small little photos, you can't really see them. You have to go close up. Then it would be allowed. Astaghfirullah, weed. That's it. Astaghfirullah, weeds, bro. Pulling out the weeds. Someone with memory loss problem often forgets the rakat already done in salat. Does she have to do sahu each time? That kind of a person is exempt. They seriously have a memory problem. Then they just pray their salat and that's it. Yeah, because it's haraj for them, difficulty. Would Fiqh al-Muyassar be a good beginner book? Definitely. There's two Fiqh al-Muyassars. There's one Ibadat, goes through Salat, Zakat, fasting and Hajj. And there's one Mu'amalat, which goes through the rest of Fiqh. Right? It starts from Nikah, and it goes all the way to like Fara'id, inheritance. Right? And these are two books. The second one is a bit sort of like technical. It needs a really good person to be able to teach it. First one can be taught by a lot of people. Ahlan wa sahlan, Sophia Shahid. Wa alaikum assalam. Marhaban. Welcome to the live stream. I've done Bayquniya with the teacher. Just wanted to read a book to revise. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. So if a person studied Usul Hadith, if you gave them like a Hadith and a chain, would they be able to figure it out? If they can't figure out what's a mursal, is this mursal, is this munqati, is this mu'adal, is this marfu, is it mawquf, is it sahih, hasan, what is it? If they can't figure that out, then question is like, what was the aim of studying that? Was it just to kind of like cover a book that you can tell everyone that you've studied this book? Yeah, so that's why I don't really I personally think students' time should not be wasted. Like when you have a student, you need to be able to give them something which they didn't have before they studied that book, right? And that's on my own, right? And that's why I try to design all my courses that I do, so that at the end of it, the student can gain something that they couldn't have got on their own. Right? Because if you can gain something from that book on your own, you didn't need a teacher for that. Then the point was, what was the whole point of it? Yeah. So, for example, if there's a Usul Hadith book and it's in English, and you can read it yourself and understand, all right, there's a Mursal Hadith and this Hadith is, then it's like there's no point of a teacher. But obviously, I'm not saying that you studied it wrong or anything. I'm just saying this is my own sort of take on this. Right. Arsalan, what would you recommend one should do to practice what one has learned from books like Nuzhatul Ulum al-Hadith? Yeah, I would say basically you need to be with the teacher, ask them to show you Hadith, and then ask them to help you how to break down the Hadith and identify. Yeah, that's the main thing. You need to basically kind of get mentoring on it. Get some mentoring, and then once you get a bit of practice, then it's simple. Can a person work in takeaway that serves pork? Yes, they can. Also, can a person deliver alcohol during Uber Eats? According to Abu Hanifa, yes. What does it mean, the one who carries alcohol in Hadith? That means the one who carries the alcohol in order for the person to be able to, like, someone comes to your house and you serve someone alcohol like that. Right, so Abu Hanifa, basically the Hanafis say that Abu Hanifa says carrying alcohol to someone, if it's done like in their own house where they are serving it. So when you say carrying, in the sense like taking it from the fridge and giving it to them like that, that would be impermissible. If it's like a job that you've got where you're carrying alcohol from one part of the shop to another part of the shop, like Asda or Uber Eats, you're basically just then it's permissible. Can you please explain the fiqh of drawing pictures, giving toys with faces as gifts to? Yeah, I did mention that a bit early on. So I've actually answered this question. I don't know if you were there in the beginning of this live stream, but check it out in the beginning, and hopefully it should be answered over there. Otherwise, if you can't find it, then inshallah at the end of the live stream, to remind me. SubhanAllah, mashallah, I love the way that you teach. Jazakallah khair, alhamdulillah. What would you recommend graduates of Darul Ulooms who want to strengthen their weakness in all subjects? I would say what you need to do is you need to get like in contact with a scholar, maybe a few of you, or speak to them, take some time from them, even if you have to pay them, and ask them to like help you brush up on science. Because usually graduates can go over the stuff again with the teacher and learn it in a quicker time because they've kind of like understood most of it. Yeah, that's the main sort of thing I would say. Okay, yeah. So Ahsan, if you, like I said, I've answered early on, but if you can't find it in the end, inshallah, remind me. Is there any room to rent at a Sufa Institute? Room to rent, like to live in, you mean? Are you saying to live in? There's nothing to live in, but I think they do allow renting rooms for teaching, like for maybe 1 hour a day or something like that. They might allow that, but they don't allow it's not for residential. Shakira Ali, in Islam, if you forgive a person, can you still want justice for what they did, like justice in the hereafter? So if you've forgiven a person, then it goes against wanting them punished. Yeah. So the whole point of forgiving is if you've forgiven someone, you kind of wavered the penalty. Okay, as drawing portraits are haram, is it haram to view them or store them? No, it's not. So it wouldn't be haram to look at them or store them. What do you think of the Alchemy of Happiness by Imam Ghazi? I haven't really gone through all of it, yeah, so I wouldn't be able to. Jazakumullah khair, ahlan wa sahlan. But I'm kind of depressed now. So look, don't be upset. If you studied something from someone, I'm sure you benefit from that teacher. Being in the company of that teacher, listen to his advice. They're so beneficial for students. Yeah, lots of students don't realize that when you study with the teacher, when you sit in front of them and they tell you advice and they teach you and they tell you like off the topic sort of like issues, all of this is shaping your understanding of Deen. Yeah, bringing you closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So this is very important. You benefit a lot. I'm just telling you, if you ask me, like, how should this certain topic be taught? I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to be quite blunt, because I've been teaching for so long and I've got experience in learning as well. I get really upset when I see students who have dedicated so many years of their life to studying something, and they don't really kind of have the chance to study they don't really benefit from that subject properly. And especially if it's the teacher's fault, if the teacher, didn't really kind of take into consideration the students and make the student lessons facilitated for them, and that kind of annoys me a lot, right? Which I've seen quite a few times where a teacher might just teach something and just teach it in his own way and not really bother about the students understanding or not. I think that's something which, that's not my own personal take on that. Students accommodation, no, a Sufa doesn't have students accommodation. Cardamom tea and this live stream equals peace. Yeah, but this isn't cardamom tea, so there's no peace here. Not yet, anyway. I listened to one of your old classes where you mentioned Hadith was added to the Hanafi Fiqh later. I didn't understand this. Could you explain? Yeah, so basically, so Hanafi Fiqh is like let me just explain to you kind of how fiqh sort of like developed from the Hanafi point of view. The Prophet ﷺ, he came, and for 23 years he taught the deen. After he passed away, the Sahaba passed this deen down. Majority of them did not used to narrate hadith. They used to just explain how to do things. So if you came to Umar radiallahu anhu and you said, how do I pray? He's just going to show you how to pray. and he's just going to show you how to do zakat and that, this and that, right? So this was the primary way. So anyone that came to Umar and he answered the question, his answer would basically be the conclusion of his research regarding a particular issue, but he wouldn't give you dalils. That's not how he was. Nor would Abu Bakr, nor would others as well. Very rarely would they do that. So this was the style of how fiqh was developed in the early years, and this is the style of the fiqh in Kufa, which was predominantly based upon case studies of fatawa of Sahaba, practice of Sahaba, yeah, and widespread narrations that were widespread. But the trend of individual hadith spreading later on, this wasn't something which the Hanafis were too interested in, because they said, if you've got like Sahaba showing you how to pray Salat, why do you need individual hadith for? If you've got like Umar radiallahu anhu teaching you how to pray, or like Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, or Ammar bin Yasir, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, these kind of senior Sahaba, it's like then you don't really need to know the hadith, because they have been praying with the Prophet ﷺ for so many years. Clearly, it's not going to be very likely that they would have missed the hadith about how to pray Fajr or how to pray Dhuhr. So this is why the Hanafi madhab is based upon case studies of the Sahaba passed down, more and widespread narrations that were known by everyone. And this is why the hadith, like later on, when hadith science was passed down, Imam Shafi took this on board. Yeah, he kind of like started off this. So this is why this is how this became quite popular later on in the Shafi school and in the Hanbali school as well. Yeah, because Hanbali school is really kind of a development after the Shafi school. And then so the Hanafis later on, as the time went by, they sort of like said, well, we have this hadith. How would we fit this hadith into what we have understood from the early Sahaba? So some of them, try to understand where the hadith would fit. And a lot of this was basically in response to Shafi'is as well. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. MUH 1989. You look well, mashallah. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Afraz, would you recommend the book Ihya Ulumuddin of Imam Ghazali? I would only recommend it to scholars. I wouldn't recommend it to general public, because it's too technical. It's too above your level. If you're not a scholar, that is. If you're not a student of knowledge. Can you teach the Sira Nahu on this channel? I don't really like that book. Yeah, that's the issue. I don't really like that book. So I probably won't be teaching on the channel. Ameen. Jazakallah khair for your kind du'as. Abdullah, may Allah bless you and your family as well. Why do they call you Sab? So Sab is basically an Indian subcontinent word. Yeah, Sahib. It's from the word Sahib. Yeah, Sahib is like sir. Yeah, sir, Mr. It's like that. What other books are there similar to Hidayah in Hanafi fiqh? Oh, there's loads, right? So there's like Badaya Sanai, Mabsut, obviously, Mabsut Sarakhsi. There's Sharh al-Wiqaya. There's Al-Bahr al-Ra'iq is kind of like one. There's Al-Ikhtiyar. There's like loads. Thoughts on the Salafi movement? I don't really know much about it. Salafi movement, I'm not really kind of, inshallah, once I do a PhD on it, then I'll be able to give you my thoughts on it. Farouk, would a laser removal of a fairly large birthmark from face be haram? Yes, no, it wouldn't be haram. It'd be permissible. James Day, Masa al Khair ya akhi, I have been learning Arabic for over a year now, but I am nobody to practice with. Can you recommend any cafes or restaurants in Manchester where I can find people? I don't know any Manchester cafes that would speak Arabic, but if there's anyone on here that can help James, maybe guide him somewhere in Manchester where there's a nice environment where you can speak Arabic, then please. In Birmingham, there are a few places. Right, so in Birmingham, basically, if you go on to Stratford Road, there is like loads of their cafes. But unfortunately, I don't know about Manchester. My knowledge of Manchester cafes, unfortunately, is quite restricted. Is defending our religion against Islamophobes considered an ibadah? Of course, definitely, without doubt. But not for every person. So not every person who is in Islam. So it depends on your capacity, right? So it doesn't mean that beating them up or anything like that. No, that would be wrong. But it would obviously be that if you have the ability to be able to speak up, right, against things that people are saying or misconstruing understanding, then yeah, it's considered ibadah. Wa alaikum assalam. Does something only become bid'ah when you think the Prophet ﷺ did it? So something becomes bid'ah basically when you believe that it's part and parcel of Islam. Like it's something in Islam. So basically, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, imagine Islam is like a building made of 100 bricks. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ passed away. If you believe something which is not part of Islam to be part of Islam, you basically are believing that there was an extra brick that was missed out. So that's going to result in you taking one brick out and replacing it with another brick, or adding an extra brick which is not there. So you believe that the Prophet ﷺ left this world and the religion was incomplete. So that's why innovation is considered to be the worst thing, because you're basically considering the religion to be an incomplete and people are just adding to it. And then it ends up like another religion like Christianity, where all these kind of beliefs and dogmas, they are introduced into the faith which are not supposed to be there. What do you think of Asan Nahu by Mufti Saeed? I haven't really kind of read it, so I wouldn't be able to say. But I guess read it. It all depends upon obviously the teacher, isn't it? Teacher teaching it, I would say. Sayyid Zaman. It's coming home, Mufti. Yeah, it's coming home. Yeah, that's the way. You know what? I just feel more depressed now because the closer England get to winning, it's like the more stress you're gonna get if they lose. You know what I'm saying? So can we call Sayyidina Ali Mawla because of the hadith of Rasul? Yeah, I mean Mawla, you can call it Mawlana, Mawlana Umar radiallahu anhu, Mawlana Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. You can use this term, it's fine. MashaAllah, Abdul Razak, Ahlan wa Sahlan from Wolverhampton. Sharif, enjoyed the Arabic convos. Can you please bring them back? Yeah, inshallah, I need to bring them back, man. You are the second person now that wants them back. The first one is Sharif. Sharif's not here now, but when Sharif comes, he's going to say Ana Kitab. My local imam makes a congregation dua after each salah. Do I join or not? Yes, you can join it. It's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine to join. As long as you know it's not something which is more important than doing it on your own. If you believe that it's more rewarding to do it after salat in the congregation than doing it on your own, then that's innovation. Can I teach Islam to my friends without ijazah? Yeah, you can teach it to Islam. Basic stuff in Islam, you can teach it. As long as, you're not kind of like coming out with your own things. You're just saying, look, this is what I heard. AP, wa alaikum assalam, is wearing a ta'weed haram? So if the ta'weed, or basically a piece of paper in which something is written and you tie it and you believe that this ta'weed is going to protect you, it's got the power of God, it's like a demigod. Yeah, this ta'weed is like one of those, what's that, what are those stones called, man? Then the Marvel, those, I forgot what they're called now. They control the universe. Yeah, those stones, those magical stones, what they're called. Yeah, so that's basically shirk. That is, if a person believes that there are these super stones in the universe that control the entire universe and they have the power of gods, then that is obviously shirk. So if a person believes that this ta'weed has this power, infinity stones. So if someone believes that this ta'weed is like infinity power, this is what what's that guy's name that one's trying to get all those infinity stones? Yeah, he's trying to destroy the whole universe. That guy, yeah, that purple guy. If he basically got this ta'weez, got everyone these ta'weezes, and he controls the universe, that's obviously shirk. Yeah. So this is why, when it comes to ta'weez, if you believe that the ta'weez has that power, just like if I believe that my shirt has this magical power that can control the universe, then that is obviously something which is not permitted and it's haram. But if a person just believes that this is something which is blessed, like contains ayats of the Quran which are blessed, just like if I read ayats of the Quran, they are blessed and they protect me, right? Because Allah protects me, then that is permissible. Just like if you take medicine, for example, if you take medicine and you believe that I'm taking this medicine, Allah protects me through this medicine, alhamdulillah, it's fine. They're definitely going to lose. Yeah, that's it. That's optimism there. Final is a day before exams. Oh yeah, that's it. Stress for you guys then. Umran's the biggest. Okay. Oh yeah, Umran's the next one. Yeah. So okay, three of you guys then. Yeah, Thanos. Yeah, that purple man. I call him the purple man. Right. Let's just see if there's any more questions on Curious Cat. All right. When a latecomer joins the Imam whilst the Imam is in ruku, so Imam is in ruku, yeah, so Imam is in ruku, and the latecomer comes and joins the Imam. As soon as the latecomer stands and does the takbir, does he have to remain standing for a moment, or should he go straight into ruku? He can go straight into ruku, yeah. So Allahu Akbar and go into ruku. That would be fine. As long as he's not doing takbir in ruku. So when he does takbir, he does it standing, Allahu Akbar, and then goes in ruku. That's fine. Yeah, but if he does takbir in ruku, then no. Okay. Khalas, Curious Cat ones are done. MashaAllah. Curious Cat nowadays finishes so quick. Alhamdulillah. This is the barakah. The barakah of you guys. Right. So all questions are finished. I think I'm going to finish it there. MashaAllah, nowadays Q&As finish so quick. Yeah, there's so much barakah in these. So please teach Arabiya bayna yadayk. I would teach Arabiya bayna yadayk, but the thing is, when you're teaching a spoken language, you need to have people in front of you that respond. There needs to be a response as well. That's why, I mean, I've taught spoken Arabic so many times. I've taught it for maybe like 5 or 6 years. But the thing that I find is, like, it needs to be taught in a way where you kind of build students up, right? And you get responses from them. So usually, I mean, I had this system where I would teach. I find it very difficult online. The problem is online. I mean, unless there's some sort of a way where you can see the students, you need to be able to see them. And a lot of people, they don't want to show their faces online when they speak and whatever. So that's why when I teach, I have to teach in a classroom, right? I've never taught it online because, in the past, I've always had, I haven't had the people like looking at me because I have to see their reaction. They have to see me. It has to be that kind of, mutual reactions taking place. So the students, you're saying things, they're responding, you're looking at their facial features. And I mean, I haven't found anyone that has really kind of learnt conversational Arabic properly online without this kind of method. And then obviously there has to be some sort of way of the students pairing up and being able to speak to each other. So if that can be all ironed out, maybe then there could be something, inshallah. Yeah. But I have my own way of teaching spoken Arabic. I don't use Bayna Yadayk. I mean, I can use resources from there, but I have my own way of teaching Bayna Yadayk, which is more to do with this idea of, and this was from my teacher, Dr. Abdul Razak. Yeah, so Dr. Abdul Razak, who passed away last week, he actually told us this, and he said he basically goes one day, Sheikh Yusuf Banuri, when he was alive, he told him there was a student from Korea that came. Yeah, he was a new Muslim, and he wanted to learn Arabic. And Sheikh Yusuf Banuri said to me, "Teach him Arabic." So he said, "I taught him Arabic just from Surah Fatiha, just from Surah Fatiha. I taught him." So he was like very skilled in spoken. And what he used to do in the time in Karachi, and Sheikh Yusuf Banuri used to send out students, and he was one of them, to different masjids every day after Maghrib, and they would just teach people how to speak Arabic, and it was quite successful. So a lot of people actually benefit from this, and I actually met this elderly person who actually could hold a good Arabic conversation, and he said in the 60s he learnt Arabic in the masjids in this fashion. So I've got my own sort of like way of doing it, where I have this sort of like system. But the thing is, that requires at least, they have to have at least 4 or 5 days, like a week class, at least half an hour every single day, at least. Yeah, that's the first condition. Number 2 is that the students must speak in class. They must, and they can only speak in Arabic. Number 3 is that students must be able to, or they must be what else was it? Yeah, so they must be ready, like they must not be shy in conversing. Yeah, so they have to do these kind of things. And inshallah, if that person can do that, then I think you can get someone going speaking in a very short span of time. I mean, I've kind of got it with my students within about 4 months, maybe 5 months, got them at a good level where they know basically the structure of sentences and how to say them, understand them. And then after that, it just requires a lot of listening skills. Yeah, so that's basically. What are your steps when to taqreed your hadith? So obviously I can't explain in 2-3 minutes. There's lots of things that you have to kind of look at when you're looking at taqreed of hadith, which book it's in, and who the narrators are, and what the status of particular narrators are. When does this person take from this teacher, and which books to look into when you're trying to understand certain narrators, and which books do you look into when you're looking at other narrators. So it's not very straightforward. It's not like I can give you like 5 books to read and you'll understand it. You have to like lead the students. You have to go with the students and show them, okay, look at this hadith. This is how we deal with this. So it's like you're picking it up. So it would be more like learning how to drive a car, like that, basically. How to pray Jummah if there's no transport, cannot walk, then you pray Dhuhr instead. Online paid course. Yeah, inshallah, if I do kind of come out with something like that, then inshallah I will. Yeah, if those conditions can be met, inshallah, and they are good students who will be willing to do that, then inshallah. Ustad Abdul Kareem teach on YouTube. Yeah, but again, it's like how many people have actually learned how to speak Arabic from those videos? That's the question. Book review. Oh yeah, book review. Right, I'm gonna have to find a book for you guys. Give us an Islamic riddle. Islamic riddle, you mean just a normal riddle? Or Islamic? MashaAllah, Qasim, ahlan wa sahlan, jazakallah khair for your kind donation. May Allah bless you. May Allah put barakah in your time and your effort. Alhamdulillah. How you been, bro? What's the latest? Did you were you supporting England or Ukraine? England or Ukraine, was it? Yeah. Inshallah, in the summer, come down inshallah in the summer. I'll do like a meetup dinner or something. Jazakallah khair. Is taking morphine allowed for severe pain if it's prescribed competent doctor? Yes, it would be permissible in that case. Rahimahullah, ameen. Aima M. Assalamu alaikum. How can one continue to keep the mind strong while studying Islamic science, especially while studying for a few years, but find yourself pulling away? So basically, what you're asking for is motivation, right? So motivation, I get motivated when I see people who are better than me in a science. I stay in company of people who are better than me, and I want to like attain their level. So let's say there's 10 steps, and I'm, let's say, on step number 3, and I see someone who's on step number 7, and I stay in good company with them, and then I'm thinking to myself, I need to be like this guy. So when you have a vision, basically, and you know where to get to, the next thing you need, so first thing you need company. Number 2 is you need a vision of what you want to achieve in like the next 6 months or the next year. And then number 3, you need your plan of how to get there. Once you have these 3 things, you're sorted basically. Yeah, trust me. A lot of people get demotivated because they don't know what they want, right? Like people who drive cars, who learn how to drive a car, they know what they want. They want a certificate to say they passed. That's all they want. Imagine someone who's learning how to drive a car, but they don't know what they want at the end of it. They're just going to be learning and non-stop. So you need to have those 3 things. So you need to have, number 1 is, you need to have company, vision, yeah, so plan for that vision, and yeah, 3 things. Okay, ahlan wa sahlan. So yeah, inshallah, if you can think of those things that I mentioned, then why not, inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Can you help me what book I must read after Tahawiyya Tawheed book? Are you talking about Aqidah Tahawiyya? Aqidah Tahawiyya talking about? MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, Qasim, ahlan wa sahlan. Alhamdulillah, been good. Don't understand how and why people upset. Oh yeah, You don't like football, you like me, bro. You like me. Touch. Yeah, me and the same. We should definitely have a barbecue or something, inshallah. Yeah, definitely. Inshallah in the summer. Yeah, be ready. Give us an Urdu joke. Oh, that's more like it. Any plans for continuing your linked hadiths? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, inshallah. I'm going to try to restart that again. Because I actually need that. So that's why I want to restart it, because I really need it. Because when I teach hadith and I can show students, so when I teach my balagha, I can say to students, go to watch my Surah Naba and then see the application there. So it helps them a lot. S. Khan, what is mantiq all about, please? Basically, mantiq is about how vast is it compared to nahw and balagha? Does it have varying parts, or is it all in one subject? So basically, think of it like this. It's like, do you know how to think? You think, obviously, I know how to think. So if I said to you, like, for example, if I heard knocking outside on the door, what does that mean? You're going to say, well, it means there's someone there knocking at the door. Exactly. So you know how to think, isn't it? So mantiq is all about using like rules that Greeks have sort of like understood. So came from the Greeks. So it's like trying to use rules to show how people think. That's what it's about. Right? So it's like trying to correct your thinking. Like, let's say someone hears him knocking outside and says, every time I hear knocking outside, it's a dog. Yeah. Is that true? Is that false? Is that thinking process a true thinking process, or is it false? And then you can extend it to other arguments that people, atheists, might use and say things like religion says that you have to kill your enemy, therefore all religions are wrong. Is that thinking process correct? So how would you respond to this? So when you learn mantiq, you basically understand how to break down arguments. Yeah, so like ad hominems, strawman theory, red herrings, all these kind of like arguments. That's what you're going to learn in mantiq, basically. Yeah, so it's just like a nahu of your thinking, if that makes sense. Credit card interest on someone else's debt who used my name. Am I sinful too? If you agreed to it, then possibly. Yeah, but if you didn't, then no. All right. So book. You want a book? Let's give you a book. Okay. Let me see. This is the book I was talking to you guys about. This is Maulana Muntasir al-Zaman. Yeah. So Maulana Muntasir al-Zaman, no relation to Zaman. Guys, look, let me tell you something here. Just because someone's got the name Zaman, it doesn't mean that I'm related to him. Okay. Zaman simply means time or era or something like that. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that we're related. Yeah. If the name is Jadun, because that's my tribe name, then we're most likely related. Yeah. We're from the same tribe. But Zaman is, loads of people have Zaman names. I know lots of Bengalis who have Zaman names, lots of people in Iran have Zaman, lots of people in Pakistan have Zaman, maybe in India they have Zaman names, so we're not related. But yeah, so this book is called Hadith Scholarship in the Indian Subcontinent, and its focus is around a guy called Ahmad Ali Saharanpuri. Yeah, Ahmad Ali Saharanpuri and the canonical Hadith literature. So Ahmad Ali Saharanpuri, basically, he kind of like, what he basically done was he sort of he began to focus a lot on printing like Arabic books, especially books that are taught, right, preservation of our tradition, Hadith books and others. And he kind of goes through how this sort of like evolved in India and how he played a very big role in the books that we have today. So like he gives lots of images as well. It's a very short book. It's only, I would say, how many pages is it? Because I've almost finished. I mean, I actually gone about halfway. I've gone through. It's about 60 pages. Yeah, not very long, but it's very, very jam packed. It's got really good information in there, which you're not really going to find in one place. So these are like some of the texts, right? We're just kind of taking pictures of. He's shown how they used to use what do they call it? Iconography. Forgot what it's called. There's a specific type of printing method that was used quite a lot in India. I didn't make too many notes on this. I need to make some notes. So basically, it kind of like goes through that. It talks about Indian scholarship as well, historically, how Hadith science came to India, and then this Ahmad Ali Saharanpuri, yeah, and how he sort of like became the guy who's responsible for a lot of the books that we have printed from in the subcontinent, these Hadith books. He was like one of the guys who was a key figure in that. Yeah, so this is by Maulana Muntasir Zaman. So Maulana Muntasir Zaman is a young scholar. He's in America. I think he studied in quite a few places, South Africa, and he's very competent. Yeah, I think he also helps out in Yaqeen Institute in America. Yeah, and this was actually gifted to me by Maulana Muhammad Talha by Qurtuba Books. So if you want to get this book, you contact Qurtuba Books. Yeah, there's the name, Qurtuba Books. So this was given to me by Maulana Muhammad Talha. MashaAllah, Maulana Muhammad Talha, he always sends me books. Yeah. Jazakallah khair to him. He's always been sending me books. Right. Due to COVID, I don't get much time with my teachers and other students. That has a really big impact on my learning. Any advice to stay motivated? Yeah, try to kind of like contact your teachers, speak to them over the phone if you can, or somehow. Yeah, it's difficult to say how, how people stay motivated over COVID, because I've even seen this in like places like Sufa as well. A lot of people have dropped out because COVID just had a lot too much impact on them, whether it was financial impact, whether it was health impact, whether it was simply because a lot of our studies were shifted in the lockdown period online. And just people lose motivation when you're in front of a screen for a large part of the day. You kind of lose motivation. The Sheikh is from America, yeah. My name is Sheikh Umar, but I'm not from Pakistan. I'm not an Arab. I'm a Berber from Algeria, but I look like a Turkish. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. Fawaz Khan, can a person take morphine who is perfectly fine and healthy? No, not permitted. No person is allowed to take any intoxicants without medical reason, like if they are really medically needed. Okay, guys, that's it, guys. Day has finished, mashallah. As I said to you guys, I will be uploading a vlog that I've made. Inshallah, I'm going to be uploading it tomorrow. It's ready. It's all ready. It's actually uploaded onto my YouTube channel as well. So basically, it's there. I can literally just put it on now, but I don't want to kind of overload you with too much info. Yeah, too much of my info, too much of my face, because you're going to see me in there doing gardening. Yeah, and I don't want you guys to have a shock. Okay, मौलवी साहिब ने देखा बिरयानी में बड़ा लेग पीस दूसरी तरफ है, तो उन्होंने थाली को घुमा दिया. लोगों ने पूछा, मौलाना साहिब ये क्या? मौलवी साहिब बोले, मुर्गी के पांव किबला की तरफ थे. वाह, माशाअल्लाह, माशाअल्लाह. This is the perfect one. This is the perfect one. I like that one. That's what I'm going to do now. I don't know where you get these jokes from. I have no idea, like which like website or book or I don't know, Jinnat bring you these stories. What is permissible men to wear in terms of jewelry? No, men are not allowed to wear jewelry. Yeah, so according to Hanafis, men are not permitted to wear jewelry. So basically, if they're wearing something like glasses or a watch or anything which has another purpose, primary purpose, but it looks like jewelry, that's fine, that's allowed. But technically, men are not allowed to wear jewelry according to Hanafis. Ratul Sakobi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Probably said your name wrong. Would you please explain how a woman can cover her face being a muhrim or hajj or umrah? Can you please explain the sadaqah done for niqab touching the face? Yeah, so basically, when it comes to the hajj and umrah, the rules of ihram, a woman is not allowed to have anything touching her face. So if a woman wears a niqab, how does she wear the niqab? So some of them have said she wears a cap and it has a cloth going over it. And as long as the cloth is not touching her face for a large part of the day, then she's okay. Yeah, so if it's touching her face for a large part of the day, then she has to give dam. Yeah, she has to give dam. Basically, she has to get goat slaughtered. And if it's not a large part of the day, she just gives a bit of sadaqah, a few pounds, a few dollars. She gives it to the poor. That's what she does. If it touches her face, if it doesn't touch her face, then she's fine. I didn't know you could understand. Yeah, so we've had some laugh today. We've had some book today. You got some questions answered today. Okay, Farooq Salim, let's see what you got, bro. I have a riddle for you. Who was the Sahaba whose parents, grandparents, and even great grandparents were Sahabas? Whose parents, parent, grandparent, and even great grandparent were Sahabas. So I think I know this one. I think me knows this one. I think me knows, and there's like a few of them. I just one. Abdul Razak, have you got it? Abdul Razak is one of our Sufa students. This year we've covered the entire Kuduri, mashallah, and these guys are preparing for the exams now. So make dua for them. Allah makes it easy for these guys. Yeah, HK's got it. That's the one. Yeah. So it's not just one Sahabi, it's like multiple Sahaba. So you got like, Aisha radiallahu anha. Yeah, you've got Hafsa, Asma radiallahu anha. I was thinking, yeah, so you got that, bro. May Allah make this successful. Ameen, Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Are you familiar with the hadith in Sahih Muslim where it's reported that the Prophet ﷺ did jama' bayna salatain while muqim in Medina without khawf or rain? Yeah. So in Tirmidhi, Ibn Abbas's hadith. Radiallahu anhu. ليس هذا لأحد في هذه الأمة. Remember those exams, Qasim? Remember those? Yes, stress days. Your badminton racket's still at Sofa, A preacher about to give khutbah. He didn't want to be at, and he asked the congregation, do you know what I am about to speak about? They all said, no, we don't know. No. Some of those people said, don't go. We know what we will speak about. Good, he said. Now the ones who know can tell the ones who don't know I'm leaving. That's a good one. I'm going to try that. Let me tell you one, yeah? Yeah, let me tell you one. So basically there was an imam and he was given the khutbah and he broke his wudu. So he was thinking to himself, how am I going to go all the way to the place to do wudu and come back? Yeah, it's going to be embarrassing. People are going to be thinking this imam's on the mimbar, is breaking his wudu, fighting. So he said, he said, right, you guys don't know how to do your wudu. And they all say, He goes, I know, I've seen some of you guys do wudu, you don't do it properly. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do wudu. Go bring me some water. So they go bring water. And he goes, watch this, everyone. Rolls up his sleeves. Yeah. Takes off his hat. Puts the water, washes his face. Goes, look, this is how you wash your face, okay? Yeah. This is how you wash your mouth, your nose. This is how you wash your arms. This is how you wipe your head. This is how you wash your feet. Everyone understood that? And they go, yeah, mashallah, now we know clearly. Goes, all right, let's start the salat then. I missed a point out. No. Did I miss a point out? No, I'm sure I got all of it. Well, even without the middle part, it still sounded funny. Abdullah bin Zubair, Asma, Abu Bakr, Abu Qahafa. Yeah, Abdullah bin Zubair. Excellent, excellent. In Tawaf and sea, it's almost impossible for the niqab not touch the face, even if it's got a cap. So wouldn't it be better not wear it? Yeah, that's possible as well. Yeah, that's possible not to wear it. Like I remember when my mother and my sister, when we went for Hajj, I mean, they don't wear niqab, but they had their face exposed. So obviously, it is, from a woman's point of view, a bit difficult sometimes, especially when it's like a big crowd. Right. Okay. There's a lot of barakah in this live questions. Regarding the hadith of Ibn Abbas and the Jama'. Yeah, so basically the Hanafi say, Imam Tirmidhi says this himself. He says there's 2 hadith in my book which no one has acted upon. No Sahaba, no Tabi'in, and this is one of them. Yeah, and this is basically, he says no Sahaba has ever acted upon this. And we don't know why the Prophet did it. And again, it's not clear what the Jama' meant exactly. So Imam Tirmidhi clarifies that himself. Yeah, Allah. HK, why do modern Hanafis get perplexed when the hadith is presented to them whilst the madhab acts in opposition to the hadith? This was never the methodology of Hanafi originally. So basically, yeah, so when it comes to, for example, like hadith, it's not just a modern Hanafi issue. It's that Hanafis have always done this. When they're faced with the hadith, they always understand that the position of the early scholars would have been such that they would have known about such hadith out there. Yeah, so in other words, it's like, is the Hanafi madhab, every time a hadith comes to them, they will have to revise their whole madhab? No, that's not the case. Because the madhab is based upon stronger evidences. Like if this hadith has only reached us now, the question is, then how can it be so important if it's only reached us now? Yeah. So that's basically, so I've never come across Hanafis that get perplexed when, I don't know, maybe where you live, Hanafi get perplexed. But I've never come across Hanafis that get perplexed when they're faced with the hadith. Okay. My jokes are much funnier than yours. Yeah. Let's agree to disagree. I might do that one if I need to do. MashaAllah. How did the shaitan whisper to Adam when shaitan was already sent from Jannah? So this is a whole big topic itself about how whispers work, how waswasa works. Yeah, we don't exactly know the details of waswasa. Waswasa can, like, shaitan can do waswasa like this. He could have told you something 10 years ago, like planted a seed of waswasa 10 years ago in your mind by making you look at something or hear something. And now that waswasa starts playing up in your life. So don't underestimate. Don't underestimate how whispers work. Whispers are basically, if you want to understand really how subliminal and superliminal messages work, look at what they do on advertisements. These are experts. They'll teach you something when you're young, show you something when you're young, and that will still resonate with you when you're older. Ya Allah. Assalamu alaikum Adil Iqbal. Ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. Like your new car, bro. What's this? Where's the dawat for your new car? Huh? MashaAllah, new car and no dawat. Yeah, how are you gonna get barakah in your car? Is boxing a sport is halal or haram? At a professional level, it would not be allowed. No. But if it's just practicing, then it wouldn't be a problem. Is non-grape alcohol allowed in small amounts? No, not allowed. How do we erase shaitan's damage to us? It just takes a long time. Yeah, there's no quick way. Sheikh Abdul Majid Turkmani has an excellent text. Yeah, I know him very well. Me and him studied together. Yeah, so me and him actually used to, when he was writing the book, yeah, we were studying at Benoitan. So he was basically in Takhasus fil Hadith at that time. I was in Dora. So yeah, I know him very well. Him and his brother, Mullah Abdul Hamid Turkmani. After Dawat for your house, inshallah, bro. Inshallah. I am ready, bro. Yeah, I am ready. Yeah, I will do the house Dawat, you do the car Dawat, bro. So according to basically Hanafis say nabid is not alcoholic. Nabid is basically, you can do this at home yourself. You get dates, you put it into water, and the Prophet ﷺ drank this. There are multiple hadith in Sahih Muslim, in Abu Dawood, in Bukhari about the Prophet ﷺ drinking nabid. Right, that is without a doubt. So the nabid is basically, fused water that's fused with dates. That's what it is. Once it becomes intoxicating, then it's not permitted. Yeah, at all. Okay. All right. So, right. Next question. Is not cutting nails and hair until udhiya sunnah in the Hanafi madhab or simply mandub? Mandub. Yeah, mustahab. Mandub. I didn't know they're brothers. Yeah, they're both brothers. MashaAllah, both very able scholars. Alhamdulillah. Me and Abdul Hamid were very good friends. Abdul Hamid, he was very, very good friends. We got so many stories. Was it a good measure of Nahu students' progress? I finished teaching my first class, took longer because of COVID. They can spot a lot of what is going on in the sentence, but linking it all together is difficult. MashaAllah, excellent. Well done, Shabash. Well done. Yeah, and that's a very good step, that is. Yeah, so you can clearly see you got concern for the students, and that is the best thing that a teacher can have. Having the concern, the student, how are they going to learn? Right, and definitely you're going to improve. Until next time you teach it, you're going to improve on that. You're going to improve. And if you taught something for 5 or 6 times, inshallah, you're going to be very good at it. Without doubt. May Allah put barakah in your efforts. Is the Hanafi opinion of wiping the neck? So this is not a Hanafi opinion. This is basically some of the later Hanafis have taken this view. Early Hanafis didn't mention wiping the neck in their books. Yeah, so this is based upon a whole concept of a da'if hadith. What's the Hanafi opinion on exposing of the feet and wearing perfume in public? So according to Imam Qadi Khan, he says exposing of the feet is permissible. And the Hanafis generally say wearing perfume in public for women is allowed as long as it's not strong and attracting people. Then it's not permissible. Lobsters and crabs, jais, bro. Just eat them. Yeah, Hanafis don't allow them, but if you brought it to my house, I would eat it. Can you see my nose? Yeah. It's red, isn't it? Nose burn, that is. Skin burn. Sunburn. Yeah, I didn't put, when I was doing gardening early on, I didn't put any protection. And now it looks like, I'll be wearing glasses. What are your tips for weight loss? I think the biggest thing, 2 things I would say that help me a lot to lose weight is only eat twice a day. Only twice. And when I say twice a day, big breakfast and around about between 5 and 6 o'clock. That's it. Do not eat anything after that. And do this for 2 weeks. And do a bit of exercise regularly in the week. Please share some stories. Inshallah, next time I'm going to finish now, inshallah. So if you remind me next time, inshallah, I will tell you stories. How to help to recognize the links in a jumla. Are you talking about Robert? Yeah, Robert. Send me email, inshallah, and I'll give you some tips, inshallah. Yeah. But at the moment, I'm gonna finish the live stream now, inshallah. How come Imam Hanifa was heavily marginalized and only later accepted as Sunnah? That's not true. What program do you use when doing your videos like Mukhtasar Quduri? I basically use drawing program. So basically it's called Sketch Express. I use a screen recorder and I use a tablet pen. Does a woman wearing an abaya and belt beat the point of some people saying to me, but I don't understand. Anyway, I am going to finish there now, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, and I will see you guys next time, inshallah, next week, and inshallah tomorrow. Watch out for the vlog, inshallah, the gardening. Right, take care, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.